Welcome back to Central Colorado Ballistics. My name is Wally. Not every good idea survives. Not every working design becomes doctrine. The lever-action rifle endured, but the lever-action shotgun, the lever-action pistol, military trials, experimental carbines, some faded quietly, some faded loudly. Today, we examine the designs that history almost forgot. When John Browning designed the Winchester Model 1887, he was solving a problem. The problem was market demand. Lever-action guns were popular. Customers trusted the format. So Winchester wanted a repeating shotgun that felt familiar. The 1887 was chambered in 10 gauge and later 12 gauge. It used a lever to cycle shotgun shells from a tubular magazine. It worked, but it was awkward. The long shotgun shell made the lever throw exaggerated. The action required more motion than a rifle, and the recoil management was not ideal. Then, in 1893 and 1897, John Browning introduced pump-action shotguns. The Winchester 1897 was faster, stronger, more intuitive under recoil. The lever shotgun quietly declined. By the early 20th century, the original 1887 design had largely given way to newer pump systems, and production eventually ceased. The lever rifle endured. The lever shotgun did not. Remember where this all began. With a pistol. The Volcanic pistol predated the Henry rifle. But it was not the only attempt. True lever-action handguns never gained traction. Why? Mechanical geometry. A lever requires arc. Arc requires space. Space is limited in a handgun. Semi-automatic pistols eventually solved the repetition problem more efficiently. Revolvers already offered reliability. As a repeating sidearm, the lever pistol became an evolutionary dead end. But its mechanical concept gave birth to an industry. In 1883, Colt introduced the Burgess rifle. It was a direct competitor to the Winchester lever rifles. Reliable, well-machined, chambered in .44-40. Winchester responded strategically. The story goes that Winchester threatened to enter the revolver market. Colt withdrew the Burgess. Winchester stayed out of revolvers. Whether myth or quiet business negotiation, the Burgess disappeared after only about 6,400 were produced. Some designs fail because of engineering. Others fail because of industry power. Lever rifles were tested by militaries worldwide, but rarely adopted as a standard issue. Tube magazines limited bullet shape. Reload speed lagged behind bolt-action rifles. Durability under sustained military conditions was less ideal than emerging bolt systems. However, lever guns did see service in limited conflicts. Spanish-American War volunteers, Canadian Rangers in the early 20th century, and sporadic use in frontier policing roles. But when smokeless powder and stripper clips arrived, bolt guns became dominant. Doctrine favored simplicity and logistics over speed of fire. The rifle survived, but not every cartridge did. The history of lever actions is littered with chambering that seemed promising. On paper, some were too specialized. Some were too expensive. Some arrived too late. And some were simply overshadowed by something better. Let's examine a few. In 1895, Winchester introduced a cartridge that would quietly dominate for more than a century. 30-30 Winchester. Flat enough, powerful enough, affordable, widely distributed. Any cartridge that came close had to justify its existence. Many could not. In the 1930s, Winchester introduced the .348 Winchester, chambered exclusively in the Model 71. Powerful, well built, expensive. It performed well, but it required a dedicated rifle, and bolt-action cartridges were cheaper to produce and easier to scale. Production ended in 1958. The .303 Savage once competed directly with the .30-30. It performed similarly, but when one cartridge wins market share, the other becomes redundant. The .303 faded. The .30-30 endured. In 1982, Winchester attempted to modernize the lever rifle, the Model 94 Big Bore. Chambered in .307 Winchester and .356 Winchester, the goal was simple: bring .308 and .358 bolt-action performance into a traditional lever format. They worked, but they never gained broad adoption. Too similar to bolt guns, too niche for mainstream hunters. Today, they are curiosities. Some ideas never even reached full production. There are references in late 19th century records to experimental large-bore lever concepts, sometimes described as 70 caliber developmental cartridges. These were exploratory black powder experiments testing action strength and limits. None progressed beyond prototype or documented trial stages, because practicality always wins. Based on a modified shotgun shell case intended for enormous game, it never progressed beyond experimental stages, because practicality always wins. In Alaska, wildcatters created the .450 Alaskan, a modification of the .348 Winchester case, designed for extreme penetration in dangerous game territory. Effective? Yes. Mainstream? No. In 2009, Marlin introduced the .338 Marlin Express, designed to deliver near .30-06 performance from a lever rifle. It was innovative, but the market had already settled. Between the .30-30, the .45-70, and bolt-action alternatives, there was little room left. It never gained sustained market momentum. The lesson is not that these cartridges failed. It is that survival requires more than power. It requires timing, adoption, logistics, economics. The lever rifle endured, but its chamberings were constantly tested, and many did not survive that testing. So why did the lever-action rifle survive, when the shotgun and pistol did not? Because it occupied a niche, compact, reliable, faster than bolt guns at short range, more traditional than semi-autos, in dense woods, in brush country, in states that favor straight-wall cartridges. The lever rifle thrives. It adapted to smokeless powder, to stronger steel, to modern cartridges like .357 Magnum and .44 Magnum, even to heavy hitters like the .45-70 Government. The lever platform proved flexible enough to endure. In the late 20th century, cowboy action shooting revived interest. The Single Action Shooting Society, smooth cycling, fast transitions, precision under pressure. Modern manufacturers now offer threaded barrels, optic rails, suppressor compatibility. Old mechanics, modern materials. Same principle. History tells us what worked, and it quietly buries what did not. But it does not tell us how it performs today. In the part 1, we discussed context. Today, we examine survival. Next, we measure performance. Soon, we return to the range. Control versus authority. Magnum recoil in reality, chronograph numbers versus felt recovery, and then layered barrier testing, denim, leather, simulated bone, ballistic gel, because power printed on a box is different from power delivered through resistance. The lever endured. The Magnum evolved. Now we test both. Choose deliberately. Train honestly. Respect the physics. Freedom secured, rights defended.